This is the Homecoming with the Downing Brothers podcast, where we talk about real estate, business, and financial literacy. They live by the motto, dream, plan, execute. Your host, Anthony and Anton Downing.
Welcome to Homecoming with the Downing Brothers. This is Anthony.
This is Anton.
All right, we are still in our special editions, COVID style. No, I'm playing. All right, so who we have today, brother?
We have Tiffany Ryland.
Tiffany Ryland. We are so happy to get you because we were just talking off camera about balance and how we want to make sure that we have women on our platform giving their perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think you're like in a real estate lane where there's definitely not enough women.
Agreed.
So can you tell everybody who you are and where you're from?
So my name is Tiffany Ryland, and I am from Houston, Texas, but I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 10 years. Lord Jesus. It makes me seem old. I'm a commercial real estate agent, and so currently I am practicing commercial real estate, solely commercial real estate.
Okay.
My father started the firm over 38 years ago, and so we are second generation, and I mean, we are kicking it right now.
You're in this economy, in this trying times, y'all are hitting it like that, like.
So it's interesting. So when there's a issue or a need, there's always a solution that comes about. And so yes, there's things that are going on, and deals are absolutely dropping out. But then there's a need for other things. There was an SBA program that came out that said, "Hey, listen, if you guys purchase right now, we're going to pay your first 6 months of your mortgage, and then you have the 7th one free." And so we were able to offer that program to different business owners and different individuals who wanted to occupy commercial real estate. So where there's an issue, there's always a solution, and if you can figure it out, then you can make money.
Man, I hear that.
You just said a whole word. All right, so you've already kind of told us. I mean, your father started this firm 38 years ago, but I'm still going to ask the question.
Right, the firm is like far older than you.
Right. So I guess my question is, at what age, at what point in your life did you know real estate was for you?
So my story is really interesting. I ran from real estate. I did not want to do it. This was not what I was going to do. I watched my family and my mother and my father build this at the kitchen table in our home with the Rolodex. And so I've watched them grow it and build it. And I've slept in the office at 2 o'clock in the morning. I've copied, I've printed. And so when I got to 18, I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm not doing. And it's real estate. And so I ended up going to Atlanta, doing all these awesome things. I went to school, went to Clark Atlanta University, graduated, thought I was going to get a 6-figure job right off the bat. Wrong. Ended up working at Abercrombie & Fitch and just kind of going through the motions. And I ended up getting recruited to be an international trade analyst, which I thought, okay, that's in my background. I'm going to love this. Didn't like it. And randomly, I got blindly recruited by a commercial real estate firm, one of the top firms in the country, honestly. And I didn't know who they were until they selected me to work for them. During that time, my mother was ill. My mother had cancer. When I started the job, it was full-time remote. I had the ability to come home and take care of her. But once I realized that being a full-time caregiver is a full-time job, I had to quit working for them and start working with and for my mother. And, of course, once you go through something so drastic and dramatic, when she passed away, I knew I could not go back to Atlanta. I could not be by myself. I needed to be with my family, but I wanted to keep moving. I needed to keep moving. And the only thing that was going to keep me going, I said I'd already started my real estate classes, so let me just get this license and figure it out afterwards. And so the only thing I can remember accomplishing in about 1.5 years time, everything else is kind of black, is getting my real estate license. I just remember walking in the house, my dad's birthday, and I handed him my license and I said, I work for you now. And the rest is history. I've been working with him since. And so that's how I ended up in commercial real estate with him.
All right.
This is deep, man. Because when most people think of real estate, they think of residential. They think of single family homes, maybe a 4-family, or a condo or something like that, but not commercial. So having you on to talk about this, man, is so important. It really is.
Actually, you know what? I think it's a good time to define this. So why don't we jump into Anton's definition of the day?
The definition of the day is commercial real estate. Commercial real estate investment or income property is a real estate, intended to generate a profit either from capital gain or rental income. Commercial properties include office buildings, medical centers, hotels, malls, retail stores, multi-family housing buildings beyond 4 units, farmland, warehouses, and garages. In many states, residential property containing more than a certain number of units qualifies as commercial property for borrowing and tax purposes.
Okay. All right.
Correct.
So commercial property, that covers a whole lot of different types of property. I mean, I'm listening to that definition, so I'm like strip malls, and it said garages,
everything that's not a single family home or a 2-flat or 4-family.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you jump into commercial real estate, is it like each firm has a specialty or something? Like, oh, we specialize in this type of commercial real estate?
That's a great question. So each firm is, their own entity, so they can choose what they want to do. We are generalists. So we do office buildings, retail, warehouse, whatever you need me to do. If it's commercial, we have the ability to do it. But there are different companies that will specialize in one thing. Some people will say, I only do retail. I only do office. I only do multifamily. But for us, we see opportunity in each one of those buckets. And so we say, whatever your commercial real estate needs are, we can handle them.
All right.
That's huge.
Well, yeah, I guess I'd rather be a jack of all trades, because why would you want to pass up on an opportunity to do a transaction or make some money or help somebody?
Right.
Well, there's a benefit. I know that when it relates to certain industries, sometimes specializing can be better. So if you're more so an investment person, I only want to do a multifamily. Sometimes people just want to go out, find the off-market opportunities, and specialize in multifamily. And commercial real estate is a full-time job. And so sometimes it is better, if that's what you want to do, it is better for you to specialize on one area or the other. But it just depends on what your team's capabilities are.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, if you're, and we do this for the listeners, and this is a tough year for people, a tough year, and there's somebody out there that might be unemployed or whatever, and they may be thinking, oh, maybe there's a career for me in real estate. And we've had different guests do various types of things. We had people, we had a gentleman come on, we had Alan Maney. You know, he came on and he's an asset manager. Then we got 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿. She does residential real estate. So if I'm unemployed right now and I'm thinking about jumping into real estate, what would you say to me? Like, what do I have to do in order to become a commercial realtor? Like, how do I know this is for me?
So there's a number of different ways that you can do it. But the first thing I will say, a lot of times people don't know, the same license that you use for residential is the same license that you use for commercial. Okay. So you don't have to go out and get separate licenses. What does happen is once you get into the industry, you want to start to get different designations that will help you be an expert in your industry. And so, MCR or CCIM, there's different designations that you can get to be a specialist. If you're trying to get into the industry, I say go ahead and get your license. Find a sponsor who does commercial. I personally am an advocate for going to a commercial firm because sometimes when you go to a residential firm that does a little bit of commercial, you'll get sucked more into the residential and not do as much commercial. So I'm a huge advocate. If you're going to do it, go hard or go home. If you're going to do commercial, get into commercial, find you a commercial real estate firm that will accept you, and just be prepared to work your butt off.
Now, does it take longer? Because, people are concerned about paying their bills and taking care of their family. Does it take longer on the commercial side to establish yourself so that you're making enough money to take care of yourself?
Oh, great question. So I'll tell it to you like this. With residential, you can walk into a crowded room, look to your left and to your right, and everybody is a potential customer. Whether it's you looking for a home or you having a referral or you having a friend, everybody is your customer. And so I will say sometimes, yes, it can take you a little bit longer to get over that curve. It's a 24 to 36 month learning curve. That doesn't mean you won't close any deals in 24 to 36 months. That means that it's going to take you about that time to really get into your groove and start to understand the industry in such a way that you can become an expert. So, yeah, it could take a while, but there's definitely still opportunities. It's your job to figure out multiple streams of income in the industry.
Right, because we talked to some people and they say, okay, well, you need to keep a second job until you develop your, I guess, network or catalog of clients or whatever. Is that something? So how do you balance that, or what do you? Because your body language says no. You need to be full time this and that's it.
Right.
So it's not that it's an absolute no. right now, with the way things are going, commercial real estate, or just not even commercial real estate, there's so many creative ways to do or create income, right? You can do Uber, you can do Uber Eats, you can get online and be on Fiverr and just write people's papers. There's so many creative ways to drive income that won't affect your time. Pre-COVID, commercial real estate is full-time. You'll find yourself in a situation where you'll be in a meeting from 7:45 a.m. into networking events at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And so when you ask me, should you have a second job? I don't know that you should have a second job that is going to require you to be there Monday and Tuesday or Saturday and Sunday, because you just don't know where you're going to be. But with the creative ways to generate money now, with Uber, you're on your own time. If you want to drive Uber after work, you've done all your work, you're still new in the industry, I would say have opportunities like that you can navigate, and you can say, okay, I'm done with work at 6 o'clock. I'm going to drive for a couple of dollars. Or I'm done with work with this. I'm going to write a paper. So there's a lot of creative ways to create those different streams of income, in addition to having referral base. So meeting, when you're looking for different partners, if there's a lender who says, hey, you may not be directly related to that transaction, and if you're not, refer them over to me, and they'll pay you a 1% commission. And that's another way, so that you're not having to go out and figure out, how do I do commercial deals? You can start getting referral money. So,
okay. And so, all right. So you get to the point where you get a commercial client and a buyer client. They want to go buy a strip mall or something.
Okay.
Right. So how do you get paid on that transaction? Because on the residential side, to my understanding, you get 3% of a transaction, and it's the sellers who's actually paying it, not your actual buyer client. Is it the same way on the commercial?
Yes, for leasing, but I always say, I'm sorry, for purchasing, but everything is negotiable. So depending on what kind of client it is, they may come back and say, no, we're only doing 2%. And that's if it's a large client. So, maybe the building, maybe it's going to be a $50 million transaction. They're going to say, I'm not giving you 3% on this purchase. I'm going to give you 2%. So it's everything is negotiable.
Well, on a $50 million transaction, you're gonna say,
I would have a problem with that.
I don't know.
Take the calculator out.
Yeah, I know.
So it's definitely negotiable.
I'm seeing calculation signs around my head
right now.
Like
2%
oh my
of
God.
$50 million. How much is that?
But typically, yes, the percentage is 3% to the representing broker for the tenant, or I'm sorry, for the purchaser and for the seller. So.
Right. So.
Unless you're an intermediary. If you're an intermediary, then that means that I represent the buyer, but maybe I had a seller as well. And so as the intermediary, I get the 3% from representing the buyer and the 3% from representing the seller. So that's 6%.
Man, that's a sweet spot right there.
That doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. The most people want to have their own representation, because as an intermediary, I don't represent you. I'm just here to present the facts.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But commercial real estate, though, those transactions tend to be larger than residential side, right? Or is that a false notion?
No, so that's true. Okay, depending on
still thinking about $50 million. I'm like, I need to know right now. Wait, is that a real thing? Where'd that number come from?
That doesn't happen very often.
I mean, like, that couldn't be like a.
No, that's absolutely possible. So the commercial transactions can typically be larger than the traditional residential. Now, if you're in luxury residential and you're selling, $1 million homes, then we're talking something different. Like in LA, an average home can be $1 million, right?
Right.
But here in Houston, if you're selling a home for $350,000, yes, the commercial deals can absolutely be significantly larger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you give us an example of a deal you've done, and what type of property it was, and how that deal ended up coming to you?
Yeah, actually I will. One of my favorite transactions, my pastor. I've been going to the same church since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to tell y'all how old I am, but you could just guess.
Younger than us. Younger than us, so I mean.
You can guess, but I've been going to church for a very, very long time, and it was really awesome to be able to close a multi-million-dollar deal for my pastor on his behalf. I was more excited that I was doing something for my pastor, and it was like I for easier terms, it was a multifamily, so it was about 10 units, and we sold it, and it was really interesting because...
Oh, you were on the seller side. You were helping him sell it.
We were helping him sell.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is the buyer was one of the people that I went to initially, and I said, hey, do you guys want to buy this? And they said, no, not for that price. Mm-hmm. And then they ended up coming back to me shortly after and said, okay.
Yeah, we'll pay that price.
We'll buy it. I mean, they negotiated back and forth, but it was a significant transaction for me because of who it was.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And being able to represent my pastor in a transaction and it be one of my first significant transactions, I was just really excited about it. It was, and like I said, it was difficult at first because when I first went to them, they said no. And then when they came back, they said, look, we got 30 days to close this out. And it was like the end of the year. And so they wanted to close out in the beginning of January. I said, are you serious? And they said, look, we got the money. We're ready to close. These are our terms and conditions. What do y'all think? And so it was really good. Of course, I was upset that I couldn't play intermediary. But still a very significant transaction and one that I probably will cherish going forward. I think so anyways. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
You definitely want to take the first dollar from that and just put, you know how they put that in the picture and whatnot? That might be one of those
put
moments.
That on the wall.
No,
tape on there.
My dad came in. It was interesting because that, right after I closed that transaction, the next day we closed on another significant transaction. And
Well, your pops had a deal?
yeah, so the way we work in our organization, so I could be working on a transaction with, let's say, my father. And the team, if it's a significant transaction, can be working all together to make sure that all hands are on deck. And so I had one that I was working on with my father and my pastor, and then one as a team. And so having two significant transactions come in at the same time, and without saying too much, getting somebody's salary within 2 days is one of those things that you never forget. You look at that and you're like...
Nice.
Look at that check.
You're almost in disbelief. I mean, I went to go cash it, and they were like... I went to go deposit it, and they were like, ma'am, we're going to have to do some things. And I'd never heard of...
Yeah,
and I'd never had that happen to me because, typically it's just like every 2 weeks you get this, you get that. And when I saw that, I realized the opportunities that minority communities are missing out on because we completely skip over commercial real estate. We are so afraid of it. We are so terrified of getting into it that we don't even realize this is something that everyone can do. I'm not unique. I'm not special. This is available to everybody.
I would say it's only happened one time, and that was when Anthony sold his Greystone, his single-family home, and he got a check for $81,000. Like somebody's salary. What you talking about right there?
It wasn't $81,000.
It was $81,000.
No, I have the picture. It was $77,000 and some change. You always round it up to 81. I don't know how.
I don't know, man.
But anyway,
round up.
But yeah, it was a check.
Yeah.
But
and it felt great.
It felt significant,
and it felt great every other time after that too.
Yes.
It gets better. It gets better, y'all.
It does. It gets so much better. But you have to work hard, and the other thing is you have to remember that this is not until you get to a place where you have built up your pipeline. This is not going to be your check every single month.
Right.
And so you've got to know how to save. You've got to know how to budget. There was one year where I looked at how much I spent with Starbucks, and I'm like, Jesus, y'all need to just like make me a shareholder at this point.
Right.
And so I stopped drinking coffee.
Okay.
I started drinking hot water and lemon because I said, yes, I've collected this much money, but even in having that, I got smarter. I said, I'm going to live well below my means. I'm going to live like I don't have any money in the bank. And so you don't see me going out and buying like shoes and bags and stuff like that because I understand that a pandemic can happen and shift everything.
Right.
I want to tell y'all, I got my first pair of Jordans after I bought my first apartment building.
Right.
Because I felt I deserved it.
Right.
Absolutely.
We wore Pro Wings through grade school all the way until 4th grade.
Does anybody know what Pro Wings are?
I don't know what Pro Wings are.
Pro Wings, it was
you
the
buy
ones
those
you got
from Payless. Does
anybody? Well, is Payless even around anymore?
We didn't have regular Nikes. No, we didn't have.
Yeah.
Look, we were wearing Pro Wings. So when I got my first apartment building, I bought myself a pair of Jordans because I felt the same way you felt about not wasting money on different things until you can afford it.
Right.
And even when you can afford it, it's like you start thinking different. I mean, your whole mindset is different. I'm like, honey, listen, don't buy me any red bottoms. Buy me some stocks, Let me and having opportunities to invest in different ventures now, I'm just like, you think different about how you want to spend your money. And one of the things that I think I'm more comfortable with is when I get a check, I want to put more money into my company. into the marketing, into what we're doing. Like, I think sometimes as young people, we want so bad instant gratification, and we think that it comes to the materialistic things. And so we look at some of these agents online who are walking around with Chanel bags and Fendi and all this stuff, and we forget that that's a marketing tactic.
Right.
I'm flashing this for you to think that I'm doing my thing so that you can come and do business with me.
Yeah, because it's the whole image of success breeding more success.
And not say that it doesn't work, because I'm sure it works for some people, but for me, I think completely different. I'm like, I want to invest in my company. I want to be able, we have an office space. I want to be able to afford that office space.
Right.
When my father thinks he's going to retire, he's not. But when he retires, I want to be able to afford the office space, afford our employees, and afford the lifestyle that I want to live. And until I have reached a certain level, I'm going to just keep stacking.
Right.
You know, when you see me out in my Target shoes, I have them on right now. Listen. You just know.
You said, yeah, man. You made me looking when I like.
But I mean, you sure you don't need that Birkin
like
bag?
my bobos.
Birkin like $10,000.
My feet feel fine.
$10,000 Birkin.
I don't think that my friend and I were actually just talking about that today. I don't know that, honestly, if somebody gifted it to me, I'm never going to say no. But I'm always going to say, but I don't know that I would really want to spend $10,000 on a Birkin, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. We are very charitable. And every year we do holiday give backs. And so when I think about spending $10,000 on a bag to sit on a table, when there is a family who is calling me and saying, Tiffany, we don't have food for dinner for the month. Our child is sick. We don't have internet. We don't have computers. I don't see myself pouring $10,000 into a bag when I can take the same $10,000 and feed an entire community.
Right.
And so that's probably why you will not see me in a Birkin bag. And anything that is nice on me, it's probably come from somebody outside of myself. Okay. My boyfriend has bought me some things, and I'm just like, okay, I appreciate it. I'm not going to say no, but again, he will spend, and I'm more so like, okay, let's give. Because I feel like the more I give, the more God will continue to bless me.
Right. All right, man. I
that's major.
I believe the same things.
Yeah.
You know, so I love to hear it from a woman though. So, so now I don't feel like, I'm just being cheap or something.
I want to hear about your charitable organization that you support now. I mean,
So we have a number of charitable organizations, but I'll specifically give you a initiative that ARVO, my company, is doing this year for the holidays. Okay. We have a holiday give back where we have partnered with an organization, and we are going to be providing computers and internet service to children who don't have it. As a result of COVID, there are a ton of families who cannot afford internet, they cannot afford cable, they cannot afford the computers that their children need. This is going to have a long-lasting effect. This is not just COVID was here for 30 days. These kids are not getting adequate education because they don't have the things that they need to be successful in school. And so we're going to be providing hotspots to them, providing them internet services for the next 6 months so that they can continue and finish school out strong until we try to figure out what's going to happen with COVID. And we're going to be trying to also get some computers in and hand those out as well.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. What does homecoming mean to you?
Oh, big party.
Oh,
that was like,
wow,
boom, big party.
I like that.
No, I mean, I think a homecoming it's a time for you to kind of come back and celebrate the wins and, you know, even share some of the losses and be like, man, like I lost this, but look how I came back. Like, you know, fall down 9, get up 10, that kind of thing. Homecoming is a time for you to kind of see what everyone else has going on and then also be able to share what you have going on and figure out how you guys can collaborate and make bigger things happen. So
right,
collaboration.
Yeah, over competition.
Collaboration over competition every time.
All right. So, man, I feel like we covered so much. Wait a minute. Did you just launched some kind of mentor program or something like that, right? You want to talk about that?
Yes. So briefly, we launched a mentorship and masterclass program called The Blueprint. And this is to give exposure, but also train individuals who want to be in commercial real estate, give them that opportunity. And so we're going to be doing mentorship, but the difference in this mentorship program and what we see a lot of, we're not just mentoring you, we're educating you. We're bringing people in to provide career advancement opportunities. There are sponsors who've already reached out trying to sponsor individuals. And so this is going to be something, it's actually taking on a mind of its own. But we're really, really excited to be able to share Ed's 38 years of knowledge and then my very small amount of knowledge. But I've been able to do a ton of marketing and generate online business that we did not have before and get leads online. So we're going to be sharing all of that and helping women and minorities be successful in commercial real estate, whether they are just getting started or whether they've been in the industry and they just need someone to help them. That's what we're doing.
It's very important.
Awesome.
Yeah, all right. End it right here.
So yeah, I think we're gonna close it out there, but it's important that people can find you so they can learn more about their program. So where on the internet or on social media can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tiffany Ryland. You can find me on Instagram, Tiffanys Ryland, Tiffann, Ryland, Ryland, and Facebook, Tiffany Ryland.
All right, excellent. All right, so you guys follow up with her, learn more about her and her father, the family's company, I should say, right? The family's company and the programs that they're doing. And please stay tuned for Anthony's After Set. Thank you for tuning in to Anthony's After Set. This is the thing that I want to leave all the homies with today. I am invested, and the one thing I want to know is, are you? Are you invested in your future? Are you invested in following your dreams, in creating your business, in buying your first investment property? What is it that you want? And are you fully invested in yourself and your dreams and your ability to help others? Everything that you do is having a ripple effect on everyone else in your life. So please, do something with your time. And I know that times are difficult, but I still ask the question, are you invested? Because I am. And I hope that you are too. Thank you for tuning in to Homecoming with the Downing Brothers. See you soon. Hey, do you think people know the process to buying a real estate property? I don't know, but if they do want to find out, they can check out our book. That's what I'm thinking, because if they don't know what real estate professionals they need to use, or if they don't know the process, or even the language, couldn't they find it in the book? I mean, we have all that and more. Every type of person that you need to be in contact with to do real estate investing is in this book. That's right. So please go to Amazon and purchase our book. You can get it in a physical form, or you can get it on Kindle. Check it out now.